All right, welcome back everyone. So we were able to connect to our database in the previous video, and we're able to fetch our data and render the data to our page. Now let's move this logic here to a server action. So what we're going to do, we're going to close the app folder and skills for now. We can right click and create a new folder in the global, in the top level, and then call it actions. And inside actions, I just want to create one single index.ts. And I'm going to put all the actions in. So in here, we're going to let's import. So back in here, we're importing the client component, the create client. So we need to import this as well in here. But because there's two of them, we're going to rename them a little bit. So we're going to say import create client, and this is going to be the server one, the first one here, and we're going to name it as, say, as create server client, because we're also going to be using the front end one. So we're going to keep the import there, and we're going to have a function here. So let's do export async function. We're going to call it fetch post. And in here, we're going to move some of the logic that we have previously written in here. So we can get rid of this here now. And we can bring pretty much everything here. Let's just cut that from there. And let's bring it to inside of the function here. Let's see what we need. We need to const Supabase, so we're going to use this name here. We can identify the server one and the client one. And now we can put the try catch again. So try catch in here. This is going to be E for error. And let's bring this at this and bring it inside of the try. Just like we're trying to do back there. Let's just have the console log of E and format it a little bit. So now we have an async function called fetch post. We're creating the Supabase client. We're reaching out to the database and we're getting the data. So all we need to do, if there's an error, we throw in an error, that's fine. And we can just return data in here. And then we can remove this console log data from, well, actually we can just move these up here just in case. See that again. Cool. I think that's everything we need. So now we have a separate action, a server action, which we can call from our page. So we're going to go back to the feed page. We're going to import curly brackets fetch post in here from add actions, and then we're going to just call it from from the top here. So let's call this const post equals, we can say await fetch post, and instead of data here, we're going to say post. Save it. And right now, no difference, but now we have a server action separate in a separate file. So we can just do / asterisk asterisk, so we can have a little documentation here. So returns post from post table. Oh, that's fine. Let's just say fetch post, just so we can have a little description here. We can do a little bit better than that, but that's fine for now. So cool. So right now we have this server action completed. We're calling it back from the feed page, and we're rendering the data just like we've done before, but now it's more organized, more scalable, and looks so much cleaner now. So a next step will be to be able to create a form so the user can create a new post, right? Because we are able to just create it from inside of the Supabase UI, so we need to allow the user to create a new post. Let's get started with the create post form. So inside of our components folder here, we're going to right click, new file, create post form.tsx, and we're going to need to set this as a client component. So we're going to have the directive use client in here because we need to use our state hooks and a few other things in here. So we are going to export default function create post form, and in here in the JSX, let's return, let's have a div, closing div, working. In here we're gonna have our form inside, and then inside of the form we are going to have a label. Inside of the label we're gonna have our input of type text. We're gonna give it a name. Let's just give it a name of post_text, and we can also give it an ID. Let's just put this into a new line. And ID, we can call it the same, post_text. We can also have, let's format this a bit here. Let's have a placeholder that is going to say what's happening, like Twitter or something. And then that's it for now. So in the label, let's have the HTML4 set to the post_text. And that's fine for now. So if we save this, we're gonna render this create post form back inside of the feed page. So we're gonna render that maybe up here somewhere. So let's do create post form and make sure you have the import up here if it didn't import it for you. And now we can see we have the text input in here. So after the text input, we also need, we can go back to the create post form. So after the label, we can have another div. And inside of the div, we can have another input of type submit. And we can close it here. So that's it for now. We have the input type submit, that's fine. And we're going to have right under the div, have a div to show the error, but that will be conditionally rendered, so we need to work on the state first. I think we can keep it like this for now. Maybe we want to add a little bit of styling in here. So let's see, what do I have here? So for the div here, set a class name of margin y-5. Let's do border and padding -3 and make it rounded. Then for the form, let's add a class name of, what do I have? Flex, and flex dash all. And then we're gonna do the next div here. So in the next div, we could add a class name, and we're gonna add the classes flex items dash center, and we're gonna do justify center or justify between, because here we're gonna put here we can put more icons. So we can do like let's try to render a FA photo video, and the import should be in here. Then if we set this to, we can save it. Let's see how it looks. I don't see it yet. There we go. So there's a video here, two little icons you can have here in order to like for the likes and stuff. I should look for something with the horror and stuff, like horror repost. We can have all these icons in here, but I'm just gonna leave this one for now, just so we can have the style. So we're gonna put this is being pushed to the side. We can set the to the input. We can have a class name, but we already have the link, so we can say class name, a link, the custom one that we created, and then border, and then round it as well, so it looks a little bit nicer here. We can set the cursor to pointer to, that's fine for now. And what else? I think if this is fine, we could add styling to the input, but I'll keep it like this for now. Don't want to do too much styling altogether. So at the top, let's work with the state. So let's import use state, and we're gonna need a few state here. We're gonna need, let's say, const pose text. This is gonna be the text for pose we're gonna create, and set pose text, and let's set that equals to use state empty quotes. You can have one for an error and set error, and use state as well, and we're going to initialize this one to null, but then later this is going to be a string if we get an error. So TypeScript is probably going to complain later, but we'll keep it like this for now. So let's say const, also let's do loading and set a loading, just so we can show like a loading state or whatever. Use state, and we can initialize it to false. That's all the state we're gonna need. So let's just add the values to the input here. So value of the input will be the this one is the pose text. This is the first input, and we're gonna say that the on change, we're going to call we're going to receive the event, and we're going to call set pose text, and we're going to pass in either target the value, so we can type in here to be able to type. Can't really see it, but I can see it in there. And then in the next input, what we can do is to, let me see, we got the class name here, and here we are going to set the value. let's check if it's loading. So if it's loading, we're going to say posting, and then else we're going to say post. Doesn't say submit anymore, it's going to say post, and when we submit, when we hit the button, it's going to change to posting. And we can also set the disable to whatever loading is. So at the beginning, loading is going to disable is going to be false, so we're going to be able to click it. But when we hit submit and loading, we're going to change it to true. Is going to be disabled. True. So now in here we could render. So curly brackets, we can see if we have an error, we're going to conditionally render a div. That is just going to display whatever error we set. And to this div, we are going to, let's just leave it like that. We can add like a red color or something here to the text, but I'll keep it like this. Let's just keep this here just to remind me to add some styling here. So we can go straight to working with the handle submit, which we're going to attach it to the form here. We're going to listen for a on submit. We're going to call the handle submit function that we're about to create. So we're going to say const handle submit equals error function. And here we're going to take in the event is going to we're going to prevent the default, so that prevent default prevent. Okay, so we need to set the event, the type of form event, so TypeScript later doesn't give us any problems. And now we can see the that prevent default is being listed there, so thank you for helping out. So we prevented the default there, and then we're going to set loading to true because we are going to be making the request in here. We're going to set the error to null at the top, just in case we resend submission. And then here we're going to put our try catch. So from the try catch, here's where we're going to make the call to our backend. But for that, we're going to be calling a function called moderate. So we're going to call this function here for now. So actually, let's just declare it in here. We're not going to work on it in this video. We're going to work on it in the next video. So in here, let's just have our moderate. So let's say export default, export, not default. So let's export async function. Come on, I don't want the help. Moderate, and in here, moderate is going to receive some text of type string. And for now, let's just console log the text. So here's what we're going to reach out to OpenAI and send them the text so it can evaluate it and say if it's good or bad. And then based on the results, we either render the post or maybe show an error and tell the user to try again and be nicer with others. So now that we have the function here, we could import it back inside of the form. So we can say import curly brackets moderate in here from our actions. So let me put some space between these here. And now inside of the try, we're just going to say const results. We're going to be expecting some result of if the text is good or bad. So we're going to say result equals to await moderate, and we're going to pass in the post text in here. We're going to console log the results to see what we get. And then here we're going to write some logic later to check the results and work currently to the results. So either to save the post to our database or to show an error to the user. So let's just have a console log here for the error. I'll rename this to E. And what else can we do here? So await cannot be used here, so we need to mark this as async. And in here, so in here, what are we gonna do? So we could wait. Let's see. Let's do an if statement. So we are going to, let's just save our text here. Let me see if we can do that now. So let's leave all the logic for the next video, because we can just put everything inside of this moderate function. So in here, the next video, we're going to work inside of this function. This function is going to reach out to OpenAI, and based on the results, we can handle that. And here we need to put that logic in the client, because this is a client component. So let's keep everything in our backend logic. So we'll reach out to the database, and then here, if the text is good, we're going to store it to the database and then return a value back to like the text and back to, or we can revalidate the page or refresh our data pretty much. So we'll do that in the next video. So let's stop here, and I'll see you in the next video.